The aliens arrived in Earth's skies with overwhelming force, an unrelenting wave of high-tech ships that seemed invincible. From the moment their fleet appeared over major cities, humanity was thrown into chaos. Their craft shimmered in the sky, far more advanced than any technology Earth had ever known. But for all their technological superiority, the invaders made one critical mistake: they underestimated Earth's military. They saw our world as primitive, a target ripe for conquest, a place to plunder. The aliens believed they could crush Earth's defense forces with ease, relying solely on their firepower. The result? They didn't account for human resilience, resourcefulness, or the sheer will to survive. The initial response from Earth was panic. Governments scrambled to mobilize, calling upon every military branch they could. But Earth's conventional weapons were no match for the aliens' advanced technology. Alien ships tore through Earth's defenses with little resistance, causing widespread devastation. Bombs and missiles launched from Earth's weapons barely scratched the surface of the alien fleet. Panic spread, and many believed humanity was doomed. How could Earth possibly hope to stand against an enemy that could obliterate entire cities with a single strike? But amidst the chaos, something strange began to happen. Small groups of military personnel, special forces, elite teams, and guerrilla fighters started fighting back. They fought not with the brute force of tanks or jets, but with cunning, speed, and knowledge of their environment. The aliens had expected their advanced weaponry to end the war quickly. They didn't realize that human ingenuity was something they couldn't replicate. When a small squad of soldiers managed to down a scout ship with an old anti-aircraft weapon, the aliens began to question their assumptions. As the days passed, these victories multiplied. Alien forces, still overconfident in their technology, failed to anticipate Earth's adaptability. The first cracks in their arrogance began to show. Alien commanders started to notice that, despite their overwhelming firepower, their forces weren't sweeping through Earth as easily as expected. Military intelligence from different parts of the world began to coalesce, and strategies that used the terrain and guerrilla tactics to the fullest began to slow down the invaders. The aliens had no idea what they were up against. They couldn't fathom how human soldiers, using nothing more than their knowledge of the land and a few outdated weapons, could challenge their superior technology. They underestimated human resilience and adaptability, key elements of warfare that no alien species could predict. The aliens had built their empire on the power of their technology, but they never encountered an enemy who didn't rely on it in the same way. They couldn't understand that, for all their weapons and armor, humans fought with something much harder to defeat: the will to survive. But the tide had yet to fully turn. While small victories gave humanity hope, it was clear that Earth would need something more, something that would push the balance back in its favor. The aliens' assumption that they could dominate Earth was still intact. They still held the upper hand in terms of technology, and Earth's military forces were stretched thin. But soon, a new kind of force was about to enter the fray, one that the aliens had no way of predicting. Unseen by the invaders, Earth's military leadership had one final card to play. It wasn't in the form of a weapon or a fleet of advanced aircraft, but a singular human force, Delta Force. The elite Special Operations Team, renowned for handling the most extreme combat situations, was deployed under the radar, tasked with a mission that was far beyond the usual scope of military operations. This wasn't about confronting alien ships head-on. It was about exploiting the invaders' weaknesses and creating a turning point in the war. The moment Delta Force was brought into play, the aliens were about to face a challenge they couldn't have imagined. They had underestimated Earth's resilience, but they had no idea what true human ingenuity, resourcefulness, and relentless focus looked like. The Delta Force operatives, men and women who had been trained for the impossible, were not just soldiers, they were a force of nature. Each operative possessed the ability to stay calm under the most intense pressure, to adapt and improvise when plans fell apart. They were accustomed to being outgunned, outnumbered, and outmatched. And against the alien invaders, that was exactly the position they found themselves in. But it wasn't about firepower. It was about precision, stealth, and mental toughness. With every alien strike, the operatives saw a new opportunity to strike back, not with brute force, but with intelligence and calculated action. In the midst of their mission, the operatives would come to realize that defeating the alien invaders wouldn't require a large-scale conventional battle. They wouldn't need to outgun the aliens, they needed to outthink them. Earth's military, led by special forces like Delta, understood that victory didn't always come from the most powerful weapon, but from the most resourceful minds. The operatives would soon prove that the true strength of Earth's defense lay not in its technology, but in its people, their ingenuity, their determination, and their ability to never give up, no matter how overwhelming the odds. And as the battle raged on, with every passing day, the invaders would soon come to understand that their most dangerous opponent wasn't the military weapons they had underestimated, it was the human spirit that refused to be crushed. The Delta Force operatives, known for their unmatched training and precision, were Earth's final hope. When the invasion began, most military units were struggling to even slow the alien onslaught. The typical weapons of war, tanks, fighter jets, and missiles, were hopelessly outclassed by the aliens' advanced technology. Cities burned, governments faltered, and morale plummeted. But while the world's regular forces were overwhelmed, Delta Force was preparing for a different kind of battle, one that didn't rely on brute force or advanced weaponry. Delta Force operatives were elite soldiers, handpicked for their physical and mental toughness. They were not just trained to fight, they were trained to adapt, to survive, and to outthink the enemy in situations where conventional tactics failed. Every Delta operative was a master of guerrilla warfare, able to strike quickly and disappear into the terrain, leaving nothing behind but destruction and confusion. This was a force designed for the impossible, and in the face of the alien threat, it was clear that the mission was going to require a level of ingenuity and precision that only Delta Force could provide. The first Delta Force unit to engage the alien forces was tasked with a covert operation: infiltrate an alien research facility to gather intelligence. The mission wasn't about direct combat, but about understanding the invaders' technology, something that could provide the critical edge humanity needed. The operatives were given limited resources: no heavy artillery, no advanced tech, just their training, their discipline, and their ability to adapt. They were dropped into a war zone, behind enemy lines, with orders to stay undetected and gather whatever intel they could. As they moved deeper into enemy territory, they quickly realized just how outmatched they were. The alien technology was unlike anything they had ever seen, and the forces they were up against seemed impossible to defeat. But the operatives knew that war wasn't just about firepower. It was about exploiting weaknesses, about using the terrain and the enemy's overconfidence to your advantage. Delta Force wasn't designed to win through brute force. It was designed to exploit vulnerabilities, to strike where the enemy least expected. With each step, the operatives adapted. They used the alien technology against itself, hijacking a few smaller scout ships and turning them into weapons. They attacked supply lines, sabotaged communication systems, and left behind a trail of confusion. The aliens, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with sheer strength, didn't know how to handle this new kind of warfare. They had never faced an opponent who didn't fight by the rules, who didn't rely on technology in the same way they did. This was a battle of wits, and Delta Force was playing by a completely different set of rules. The human ability to adapt in the heat of battle was something the aliens couldn't have foreseen. Delta Force operatives didn't just rely on their weapons, they relied on their ability to think and act under pressure. As the alien forces continued to advance, they began to make mistakes. They underestimated their enemies. They assumed their advanced weaponry made them invincible, and that no one could possibly outmaneuver their technology. But they hadn't reckoned with the unpredictability of the human mind. Delta Force soldiers, trained to think on their feet and improvise in even the most impossible situations, began to turn the tide. The aliens' advanced weaponry had a critical flaw. It was designed for large-scale, open combat, not the guerrilla tactics Delta Force specialized in. While the aliens were focused on overwhelming Earth's military bases, Delta Force was striking at their weakest points. They didn't attack head-on. They harassed the alien supply chains, their communications, and their command structures. They created chaos where the invaders least expected it. What the aliens didn't understand was that Earth's military wasn't just made up of soldiers. They were made up of individuals with the ability to outthink and outlast any opponent. As the days passed, the operatives began to piece together the most crucial information of all: how to turn the aliens' technology against them. While the invaders were focused on brute force, Delta Force studied their ships, their weapons, their systems, and found ways to disrupt them. A piece of alien technology here, a malfunctioning weapon there, small things that began to make a big difference. The operatives didn't have the luxury of large-scale battles. Instead, they used everything they could, everything from the smallest piece of alien tech to the terrain itself, to sabotage the invaders' plans. While the alien commanders were dealing with the chaos created by these stealthy strikes, Earth's military leadership began to realize that they had a real chance to turn the tide of the war. It was clear that Delta Force could not win through conventional warfare alone, but they could destabilize the aliens, create confusion, and most importantly, buy time for the rest of the world to regroup. As Delta Force continued its operations, more military forces from around the globe began to adopt the same tactics, using their knowledge of Earth's landscape to counter the alien technology. But it wasn't just the strategies that were shifting. The operatives had begun to undermine the aliens' belief in their own invincibility. In war, morale is just as important as weaponry, and the constant barrage of attacks from a foe who refused to follow the enemy's playbook began to erode the aliens' confidence. They were used to fighting wars where victory was assured. They were used to overwhelming their enemies with sheer technological superiority. But Delta Force had shown them that their overconfidence could be their greatest vulnerability. With each mission, the operatives grew bolder. They learned from every engagement, adapting their tactics and making each strike more effective than the last. They didn't need to be better equipped, they just needed to be smarter. And in this case, intelligence wasn't just about understanding the enemy's weapons, it was about understanding their psychology, their culture, and their assumptions. The aliens, with all their advanced technology, hadn't considered one simple fact: they didn't know humanity as well as they thought they did. And that was something Delta Force could exploit. The aliens had underestimated Earth's military. They had assumed that their superior technology would make quick work of humanity. What they didn't realize was that Earth's true strength didn't lie in its firepower or its technology. It lay in the people who fought with everything they had, who used their minds and their instincts to outwit even the most advanced enemies. And Delta Force, with its ability to think and act when it mattered most, was leading the charge. As Delta Force began to take the lead in countering the alien invasion, the shift in strategy became evident. Earth's elite operatives weren't going to win this war by matching the alien forces in a direct confrontation. Instead, they focused on exploiting weaknesses, using their understanding of guerrilla tactics and the environment to their advantage. The aliens had superior firepower, but their approach to war was predictable. They relied on their technology and overwhelming numbers, assuming that their dominance in these areas would carry them to victory. They hadn't anticipated an enemy that wouldn't fight by the same rules. The Delta operatives, accustomed to being outgunned and outnumbered, understood that wars were not won by the biggest weapons or the strongest forces. The key to victory was adaptability and surprise, traits that Earth's military, particularly its special forces, had perfected over decades of covert operations. Delta Force was not just about overwhelming firepower, it was about using speed, stealth, and intelligence to outmaneuver the enemy at every turn. The first step in turning the tide was to disrupt the alien supply lines. The invaders had relied on a steady stream of resources and reinforcements to maintain their dominance on Earth. Delta Force operatives began to target these vital lifelines, sabotaging alien transportation routes and communications. They didn't need to destroy entire fleets or overpower the aliens in open combat. All they had to do was sow enough confusion and disrupt the aliens' ability to coordinate. Each successful operation weakened the invaders' logistical capabilities, slowing their advance and buying time for Earth's other military forces to regroup and plan their next steps. The key to the operatives' success lay in their ability to think several steps ahead. They didn't engage in direct firefights when they could avoid them. Instead, they used hit-and-run tactics, ambushing alien patrols and setting traps that forced the invaders to waste time and resources. These small victories had a cumulative effect. As the aliens grew more disoriented and frustrated by the constant resistance, their morale began to waver. They had arrived on Earth with the assumption that their technological superiority would make them unstoppable, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with the same creativity and ruthlessness as Delta Force. In parallel, Delta Force began to experiment with the alien technology they had seized. Rather than simply destroy alien weapons, the operatives sought ways to adapt and turn them against the invaders. Earth's military engineers worked closely with the Delta operatives, reverse engineering alien technology to create improvised weapons and devices that could bypass the aliens' defenses. This innovative approach allowed Earth to fight on more equal footing, as the invaders began to realize that their own advanced technology was not as impenetrable as they had believed. The aliens had expected to overwhelm Earth's military with advanced weaponry, but they hadn't counted on the adaptability of human minds. Meanwhile, the operatives continued to exploit one of their greatest advantages: their intimate knowledge of Earth's terrain. The alien forces, despite their technological prowess, were unfamiliar with the planet. They were used to fighting in environments that suited their own biology and technological design, not in a foreign world with its unpredictable landscapes, weather patterns, and ecosystems. Delta Force used this to their advantage, staging ambushes in dense forests, mountainous terrain, and urban environments where alien technology was less effective. The aliens had no answer to human ingenuity in these settings. What they lacked in technological superiority, Delta Force made up for with sheer tactical brilliance and the ability to turn any situation into an advantage. As the war dragged on, the psychological warfare aspect of the conflict became more pronounced. The aliens, used to dominating weaker species, began to lose their confidence. They had not expected Earth's military to put up such a fight. Every small victory by Delta Force, every successful sabotage mission, and every alien ship that was captured or destroyed sent a message: Earth was not a defenseless target. The operatives knew that morale was just as important as military strategy, and they worked tirelessly to break the alien forces' belief in their own invincibility. The aliens began to question their assumptions and second-guess their strategies, which, in turn, gave Earth's forces more opportunities to strike. Despite their growing successes, Delta Force knew that the ultimate goal wasn't just to harass the aliens or slow their progress. The real objective was to force the invaders to retreat or surrender. This would require an all-out effort, one that would involve not only Delta Force but the combined might of the world's remaining military forces. To do this, the operatives had to strike at the heart of the alien invasion, targeting their command structures and communication networks in a way that would cripple their ability to operate effectively. By now, the Delta Force operatives had become masters of alien technology, using it to their advantage while simultaneously denying its use to the invaders. The final phase of the strategy would involve a coordinated attack on the alien mothership, where their leadership and core operations were centered. Delta Force was tasked with infiltrating the mothership, a nearly impossible mission given its size and the alien forces guarding it. But the operatives were undeterred. They understood that the key to winning wasn't about overwhelming firepower, but about striking decisively at the right moment. Using their knowledge of the alien ships and technology, they planned to infiltrate the mothership through its weak points, bypassing heavily guarded areas and sabotaging critical systems. The alien forces, for all their advanced technology, were still operating under the same assumption that their technological advantage would protect them. They had no idea that Earth's military was now using their own technology against them, exploiting weaknesses they had never considered. By the time the Delta Force operatives launched their final assault, the aliens were already on the back foot, their forces scattered and their morale shattered. The final blow came not from a superior weapon, but from the relentless, unyielding determination of human soldiers who understood that victory wasn't just about strength. It was about outthinking the enemy and exploiting every opportunity. As Earth's military forces, led by Delta Force, pushed the aliens back, it became clear that the invaders had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, to think, and to fight. It wasn't technology that won the war. It was the human spirit, embodied by the soldiers who refused to give up, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. And in the end, that would prove to be the ultimate weapon against the alien invaders. As the plan to infiltrate the alien mothership took shape, the stakes became clearer. This mission wasn't just about another tactical victory, it was about ending the invasion. The mothership served as the central hub for the alien forces, controlling their fleets, managing their supply chains, and housing their leadership. Striking this target would cripple the invaders' ability to continue their assault on Earth. Delta Force, having proven its effectiveness in earlier missions, was tasked with leading the operation. Their objective was simple but daunting: disable the mothership's systems and force the aliens to retreat. The operatives approached the mission with the precision and discipline that had become their hallmark. They understood that success would depend on exploiting the knowledge they had gathered from previous encounters with alien technology. Every piece of intel, every captured device, and every intercepted signal was analyzed and turned into actionable strategy. They knew the mothership would be heavily guarded and fortified, but they also knew that no system was perfect. The challenge wasn't just in penetrating the alien defenses but in doing so quickly and decisively, leaving no room for retaliation. Earth's forces coordinated their efforts to create the diversion necessary for the Delta team to carry out the mission. While the bulk of the world's remaining military engaged the alien ground forces and fleet, the operatives moved undercover, taking advantage of the chaos to reach their target. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, struggled to manage the escalating resistance. They were still reeling from earlier sabotage campaigns and had underestimated the coordinated resolve of Earth's defenders. This confusion provided a critical opening for the operatives to execute their plan. The key to the mission lay in targeting the alien command network. The mothership wasn't just a physical structure, it was the nerve center for the entire invasion. Every order, every deployment, and every logistical decision was routed through its systems. By disabling these systems, Delta Force aimed to throw the alien forces into disarray, effectively paralyzing their ability to coordinate. The operatives' deep understanding of alien technology, gained through relentless study and experimentation, allowed them to identify key vulnerabilities within the mothership's architecture. As they executed their mission, the alien forces began to react, but their response was disjointed and chaotic. They had not anticipated that Earth's forces would be capable of breaching their most secure installations. The invaders had relied too heavily on the assumption that their technological superiority made them untouchable. They had underestimated the combination of human ingenuity and the adaptability of Delta Force operatives. The aliens' inability to adjust quickly to this unexpected threat revealed a critical weakness in their approach to warfare. The operatives worked methodically, using every tool at their disposal to disable critical systems within the mothership. Communications networks were disrupted, energy supplies were sabotaged, and defensive measures were systematically dismantled. Each action further destabilized the alien command structure, leaving their forces increasingly isolated and disorganized. For every system taken offline, the invaders' grip on the planet weakened. The alien fleet, once a coordinated and overwhelming force, began to splinter under the weight of confusion and uncertainty. The psychological impact on the aliens was as significant as the physical damage. They had come to Earth expecting a swift and decisive victory. Now they were watching their once unassailable position erode in the face of an enemy they had underestimated at every turn. The realization that their mothership, the heart of their invasion, was no longer secure dealt a devastating blow to their confidence. This shift in morale rippled through their ranks, further reducing their effectiveness in combat. As the mission neared its conclusion, the operatives faced mounting challenges. The alien forces, though disoriented, began to rally in desperation. But the damage had already been done. The systems that once coordinated their efforts were offline, and their ability to counterattack was severely diminished. Earth's military, emboldened by the success of the infiltration, intensified its efforts, launching coordinated strikes against alien positions around the globe. The invaders, once an unstoppable force, were now fighting to hold their ground. The success of the mission marked a turning point in the war. With their command structure in shambles and their forces in disarray, the aliens were forced to retreat. What had started as an invasion built on overconfidence and technological superiority had ended in humiliation. The operatives, having completed their mission, withdrew as Earth's forces pressed the advantage, driving the invaders further back. The alien fleet, once the symbol of their dominance, now retreated in fragments, scattered and broken. The aftermath of the operation was a testament to the power of resilience and ingenuity. Delta Force had demonstrated that even the most advanced adversaries could be defeated through careful planning, adaptability, and sheer determination. The invasion, which had once seemed like an unstoppable tide, was now a memory of humanity's refusal to surrender. The lessons learned from the conflict would shape Earth's military strategies for generations to come, ensuring that the planet would be better prepared for any future threats. What the aliens had failed to understand was that wars are not won by technology alone. The human spirit, with its capacity for innovation and its refusal to accept defeat, had proven to be the decisive factor. Delta Force, operating with precision and purpose, had turned the tide of the invasion and secured humanity's future. The invaders had underestimated Earth at every stage of the conflict, and it was this arrogance that ultimately led to their downfall. The victory was not just a triumph of military might but a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the human race. The alien invasion's defeat was more than just a military victory. It marked a pivotal moment in humanity's history. The retreat of the alien forces signaled the end of a conflict that had tested Earth's resilience and ingenuity like never before. Their once dominant fleet was now scattered, their advanced technology rendered ineffective against an enemy they had grossly underestimated. What began as an overwhelming display of extraterrestrial power ended in a lesson about the unpredictability of human resolve and the dangers of overconfidence. In the days following the invasion, the scale of the devastation became clear. Cities lay in ruins, infrastructure was crippled, and millions were displaced. Yet, amid the destruction, a sense of triumph and unity emerged. For the first time in living memory, humanity had come together against a common enemy, setting aside differences to fight for survival. This collective effort became a defining feature of the victory. What the aliens had seen as a fractured and technologically inferior species had revealed itself to be resourceful, determined, and capable of adapting to even the most impossible challenges. The role of Delta Force in achieving this outcome could not be overstated. Their actions during the war became the foundation for Earth's future defense strategies. Their ability to study, adapt, and dismantle the alien forces served as a blueprint for how to counter advanced threats. Military leaders around the world recognized that the victory wasn't about matching the invaders' technology. It was about leveraging human ingenuity and resilience to overcome it. Delta Force had demonstrated that even the most sophisticated systems had vulnerabilities, and those vulnerabilities could be exploited with the right approach. As the alien forces retreated beyond Earth's orbit, humanity began to salvage what they had left behind. The remnants of alien technology became a treasure trove of innovation, sparking advancements in energy, communication, and materials science. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to reverse engineer the alien systems, learning from the very tools that had once threatened humanity's existence. What had been a weapon of conquest became a catalyst for progress, propelling Earth into a new era of technological achievement. The victory also sparked a shift in global priorities. Governments realized that preparing for the unknown was no longer a hypothetical exercise but a necessity. Investments in planetary defense systems, advanced surveillance, and international collaboration surged. The war had shown that no single nation could stand against a threat of this magnitude alone. Unity was not just a temporary necessity but a permanent imperative. The lessons of cooperation and shared purpose became central to how humanity approached its future. The Delta Force operatives who had played such a critical role in the conflict became legends. Their names were etched into military history, their actions studied by future generations of soldiers and strategists. But their legacy went beyond their battlefield achievements. They became symbols of what was possible when discipline, ingenuity, and courage converged. Their success inspired not only the military but also civilians, serving as a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, there was always a way forward. While the aliens had been defeated, their arrival left humanity with a sobering realization: Earth was not alone in the universe, and not all of its neighbors were friendly. This understanding reshaped humanity's outlook on its place in the cosmos. Space exploration, once driven by curiosity and ambition, now carried a sense of urgency and purpose. The war had shown that humanity was capable of surviving a first-contact scenario, but it also underscored the importance of being prepared for whatever might come next. Rebuilding Earth was a monumental task. The scars of the invasion were visible in every corner of the globe, from the ruined cities to the disrupted economies. But the collective effort to rebuild became a symbol of humanity's resilience. Communities came together, united by the shared experience of surviving the invasion. The hardships of the war were immense, but they forged a sense of solidarity that transcended borders and cultures. The post-war era became a time of renewal, as nations worked not just to restore what was lost but to create a world that was stronger, more united, and better prepared for the challenges ahead. The alien invasion had also provided humanity with a new sense of perspective. The war had shown the limits of human knowledge and the importance of innovation. Earth's survival depended on thinking beyond traditional frameworks, embracing creativity, and challenging assumptions. These lessons extended beyond the battlefield, influencing fields as diverse as education, governance, and industry. The mindset that had allowed Delta Force to outwit the aliens became a guiding principle for how humanity approached its future. Despite the victory, the threat of another invasion remained. Humanity understood that the aliens' retreat was not necessarily permanent. Vigilance became a cornerstone of global defense strategy, with the knowledge that the invaders, or others like them, might return. This understanding didn't breed fear but determination. The people of Earth had proven their ability to survive, and they were ready to face whatever came next. The alien war had united humanity in ways that no other crisis could, creating a collective resolve to protect their world and ensure that the sacrifices of the past were not in vain. In the end, the war was not just a story of survival but a testament to humanity's capacity for growth under pressure. The aliens had arrived with the intention of conquering Earth, but they left behind a legacy of unity, resilience, and progress. What they had seen as a weakness, the diversity and fragmentation of humanity, became its greatest strength. The invasion had tested every aspect of what it meant to be human, and in passing that test, Earth emerged stronger than ever. The defeat of the alien invaders marked the dawn of a new chapter for humanity. It was a reminder that the most significant battles are won not by the strength of weapons but by the strength of will. The war had revealed the best and worst of humanity, but in the end, it was the best that prevailed. The victory was not just a triumph over an external enemy, but a validation of the values and spirit that defined Earth's people. The aliens had come seeking conquest, but they left having witnessed the unyielding determination of a species that refused to be conquered.